The groan of warped metal and the chilling, wet shuck-shuck of rotting feet were the soundtrack to their lives. Muldraugh, Kentucky, was a graveyard of broken dreams and reanimated corpses, a perpetual twilight beneath skies the color of bruised plums. 6 survivors, bound by grim necessity and a shared hunger for something beyond mere existence, picked through its bones. Liam, their pragmatic leader; Marcus, the silent, stoic builder; Sarah, the medic and tender of their meager garden; Javier, the watchful, ever-ready combatant; Aris, the intellectual, always tinkering; and Chloe, the restless ferret, whose knack for finding the impossible often pulled them back from the brink. Today, the impossible was a derelict office building, its windows shattered like vacant eyes. Chloe pushed open a splintered door, the wood's protest echoing her own stomach's rumbling. Inside, the air hung thick with dust and a metallic tang. The guttural groans of the undead resonated from deeper within, but Chloe, driven by a desperate hope of finding anything useful, moved with practiced stealth. She found an office, its door barricaded from the inside with an overturned desk and filing cabinets. A faint, almost imperceptible hum vibrated through the floorboards. Curiosity piqued, she carefully dismantled the crude barrier. The room was a tableau of a last stand. Empty MRA packets, spent shell casings, and dried bloodstains told a grim story. But it was the device propped against the desk that stole her breath. A bulky, metallic backpack contraption with an attached wand, its frame scratched and dented, its power indicator a single, dying red flicker. A proton pack. The mods Liam had installed into their game long before the world ended, the ones they had all laughed about as a just-in-case joke, were suddenly terrifyingly real. It looked like it had been used, heavily, and was almost entirely drained. A reanimated corporate drone shuffled into the doorway, drawn by the creaks and Chloe's presence. She didn't hesitate. Instinct, honed by months of brutal survival, took over. She slung the heavy pack onto her back. The familiar weight of the mock-up from their pre-apocalypse gaming sessions was now terrifyingly real. The wand felt alien in her hand, but the single, dying red light on the pack urged her. Gritting her teeth, she aimed and squeezed the trigger. A sputtering, weak proton stream erupted, a pale echo of the powerful blast it was designed for. It hit the zombie squarely, lifting it off its feet with a faint squeal of ectoplasmic energy before it collapsed, inert, a smoking husk. The pack's indicator light winked out entirely. But it had worked. 1 down. Desperate, Chloe repeated the action, firing off 2 more anemic bursts from the dying charge, clearing the immediate vicinity of its shuffling occupants with barely enough power to singe them into stillness. 3 precious seconds of quiet. She sprinted out, pack still strapped, alerting the others. I found something, she gasped, pointing back at the now clear room. Liam, ever decisive, understood. Secure the area. Marcus, sweep for anything useful. Javier, perimeter. The proton pack, in its dying gasp, had given them a chance. They quickly cleared the immediate floor, finding enough canned goods, medical supplies, and basic tools to sustain them for a few days. But this building was a death trap. They needed a long-term solution. They found it on the outskirts of Louisville, an abandoned fire station. Its brick walls were thick, its garages spacious, its tower a potential lookout. It reeked of neglect, but it had bones. This would be their new home. Weeks blurred into months of back-breaking labor. The fire station became the crucible of their survival. Marcus, with Javier's muscle, meticulously cleared every room, boarded up windows, and reinforced doors with salvaged metal. They erected a formidable outer wall from lumber and sheet metal, topped with barbed wire, creating a defensible courtyard. Sarah, guided by rusty agricultural memories and a scavenged gardening book, tilled the cracked asphalt of the old parade ground, transforming it into a fertile garden. Tomatoes, potatoes, corn, the seeds a precious find sprouted, promising sustenance. Rain collectors, meticulously plumbed by Marcus, provided fresh water, eventually supplemented by a hand-dug well that reached the aquifer. Electricity was a persistent challenge. A scavenged generator roared to life, but its fuel consumption was ravenous. Aris, with his knack for all things technical, pored over dusty engineering manuals found in a forgotten library. He spearheaded the construction of a rudimentary wind turbine, and a collection of scavenged solar panels, slowly weaning them off fossil fuels. The fire station, once a symbol of emergency response, became a beacon of resilience, a self-sustaining fortress against the apocalypse. During these endless scavenging runs, an odd pattern emerged. Chloe, with her uncanny ability to unearth the unusual, started finding more strange items. A peaky meter, eerily similar to their broken proton pack, tucked away in an old police station. A few cylindrical ghost traps, sealed in their sturdy yellow casings, in a dilapidated scientific research facility. Even a pair of peculiar ecto-goggles, designed for seeing the unseen, lay in a discarded toolbox in a dusty hardware store. "This is beyond a joke," Liam mused, examining a freshly found trap. Someone was serious about this Ghostbusters stuff. Then, the whispers started. Faint, ethereal murmurs carried on the wind, even when there was none, seeming to twist through the vents of their fortified fire station. Objects would shift, a scavenged wrench, suddenly appearing on a different workbench, Sarah's carefully stacked cans toppling without cause, only to be found perfectly restocked moments later. One night, the newly installed lights in Arise's workshop flickered violently, plunging the room into momentary darkness, accompanied by a sudden, chilling drop in temperature. "It's not faulty wiring," Arise declared, his voice tight with a mixture of fear and academic excitement. He held up the peaky meter. Its antennae extended with a whir, and a soft, rhythmic beep. Beep. Beep started, growing faster, more insistent, pointing towards a stack of old tires. "We have a phantom in the machine." Donning the ecto-goggles, Chloe peered into the flickering shadows. A faint, shimmering outline, like heat haze over asphalt, pulsed near the tire pile. It wasn't a zombie. It was something else entirely. Fear, cold and sharp, cut through their accustomed dread of the undead. "Right," Liam said, his voice betraying a hint of trepidation. "We're Ghostbusters apparently. Arise, can you get that pack working again?" Arise had already been working on it. He had found schematics for a positron collider and, using scavenged high-energy components and a hefty dose of improvisation, had managed to jury-rig a powerful, albeit unstable, charging station. The hum of the proton pack, once a dying wheeze, now vibrated with potent energy. Clad in the hastily assembled and slightly ill-fitting Ghostbusters uniforms they had found in an abandoned costume shop, a morbid joke that now felt like essential gear the team prepared. Chloe and Javier, armed with the pack and a trap, were the front line. Arise guided them with the peaky meter. Sarah stood by with medical supplies, and Marcus secured the perimeter. The hunt for the mischievous poltergeist was brief but intense. It delighted in throwing tools and rattling shelves, making their hard-won peace feel fragile. Chloe, guided by Arise's peaky readings and her own ecto-goggles, unleashed a focused proton stream. The ethereal form solidified slightly under the energy, struggling against the beam, a faint, cartoonish wail echoing in the room. Javier, with practiced coordination, slid a trap into position, its pedal depressed by a heavy boot. With a final surge, Chloe aimed the stream directly into the glowing maw of the trap. Whoosh! The trap slammed shut, its indicator light glowing a triumphant, pulsating red. A profound silence descended. Arise, trembling with a mix of fear and scientific exhilaration, immediately took the trap to his fortified lab. He spent hours analyzing it, his face lit by the glow of monitors displaying fluctuating energy signatures. The captured ghost, a swirling mass of ectoplasmic energy, pulsed within its containment field. "It's pure energy," Arise murmured, rubbing his temples, his eyes wide with a manic excitement. "Not just energy, but information. There are residual patterns, memories, even a blueprint for its own existence." He gestured frantically at a schematic on his screen. "If we can isolate and stabilize these ectoplasmic signatures, we can imbue them into other materials. Not just power, Liam. Properties. Imagine a pickaxe that never dulls, fueled by a ghost's essence of persistence. Or armor that deflects a zombie's bite, carrying a ghost's intangibility." The revelation hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about evolution. The ghosts weren't just a threat, they were a resource, a new frontier in a world that had seemingly run out of options. The fire station, once just a fortress, transformed into an ecto-scientific laboratory. Arise, now affectionately dubbed Dr. Proton by Chloe, became the engine of their technological advancement. They meticulously, and often with considerable risk, captured more ghosts, some mischievous, some malevolent, all unique. Each capture was a potential breakthrough. The ghost containment unit, scavenged from a forgotten military bunker, hummed ominously in the deepest part of their base, holding their growing collection of spectral energy. Their first successful ectoplasmic infusion was a triumph. Using the essence of a particularly swift spectral runner they had cornered in a supermarket, Aris managed to imbue a pair of boots. Chloe, testing them, found her speed and stamina subtly enhanced, allowing her to outmaneuver even the fastest sprinters among the undead. Marcus, inspired, worked with Aris to develop anti-ghost paint, a protective sealant imbued with the repelling properties of certain trapped phantoms. Applied to the fire station's interior walls, it created zones of eerie calm where no mischievous poltergeist dared to tread, securing their living quarters and vital workshops. They crafted ecto-glow ammunition, rounds that caused zombies to freeze momentarily in an ethereal light. They developed specter shields, arm guards imbued with protective ectoplasma that could withstand even the most ferocious zombie assaults. Their Ghostbuster uniforms, once a novelty, became a symbol of their specialized expertise, each patch and strap earned through harrowing encounters. The line between survival and scientific exploration blurred. The constant threat of the undead remained, but now, a new dimension of danger and opportunity had opened. Their fire station, bristling with defenses and humming with ectotech, stood as a testament to their ingenuity. They were no longer just survivors, they were the zomboid Ghostbusters, a beacon of hope, or perhaps, a warning, in a world where the living dead were no longer the only things that went bump in the night. Their mission was clear: secure, capture, create. And in doing so, rewrite the rules of the apocalypse. The future, fueled by the spectral energy of the very unknown, was theirs to build.